Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast, the podcast where we talk about
everything theater. Hi there, I'm Benita Zahn.
And I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And you know, I think we're really jazzed. Well, first of all, we've got a fabulous guest for you, but we're so jazzed because theater's reopening, crowds are coming. It's just, voila, let's get it back on track.
It's good. And speaking of our guest, the first big show that I'm going to go to with the big crowd is going to be at Saratoga Opera to see Man of La Mancha. And it shocked me when I was just, cruising through Facebook and I saw my old friend Kelly Glyptis from way back in the day. We did children's theater together in Virginia, and right there starring in Man of La Mancha. I couldn't believe it. So hi, Kelly.
Hi, how is everybody?
Great.
Good.
Welcome back to Saratoga. You've been here before. Then you were a young artist, and now you're queen of the team, huh?
Yes, I was a young artist back in 2018 with Opera Saratoga. And now, I'm back as a principal artist. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm doing Man of La Mancha, which is like a dream show. I'm doing Aldonza, dream role. So it's my first show back. It'll be my first show performing since March 12th of 2020. So it's been a long time. It'll be my first time on stage performing in a show. Yeah.
Were you in the middle of something when everything shut down?
Yeah, so I was actually on the national tour of Fiddler on the Roof. I was playing Fruma Sarah, and we were in Detroit. And I remember we were. It was the 12th, I believe, was our last show. I might have gotten. It was either the 11th or 12th. I'm pretty sure it was 12th. But we went to the theater, and we were like, okay, and like all the other theaters had been shut down already. Places all over the country had started shutting down, and we went out on stage, and we, it's like dun 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 dun, and we went tradition, right? And we looked out at the audience, the lights like popped on right on the stage, and we all looked out, and there were like 50 people in the audience, and we were like, okay, here we go. So we obviously we gave it our all, like we did our show. And I remember at curtain call sitting there, and I was just crying in the final circle sequence, and and in the curtain call, because I was like, I just knew somehow that this was going to be my final performance. And that was back when they were talking about flatten the curve and blah blah blah, and something inside me just said, this is your closing night, Ms. Glyptis. This is your closing night. And so we had the option of they told us, clear out whatever you want from your boxes, or like dressing rooms or whatever. We'll save everything when we come back out. You can whatever. I emptied everything, and I know some people who actually they left some things on tour, and I don't think they ever got some of their stuff back. So it's been a wild ride. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get back. I'm being on stage today. We did a rehearsal where Zachary James and I, Zachary James is our Don Quixote. We were allowed to unmask in the first time in rehearsal, because we've been masked in rehearsals. They have fabulous COVID structures to make sure that everybody stays safe. We're tested weekly, right? So we're all bubbled together. But even in rehearsals, we've been wearing masks. And for the first time, because we're getting ready to go into tech, they have allowed Zach and I to be that first step of that unmasking process. And it was the craziest thing, because it's been a year and a half and we've all been wearing masks, and it's just, and Zach and I, we were doing the scene right before Impossible Dream, the little scene right before Impossible Dream. And we just looked at, we kept laughing because we had just never seen each other. We had never seen each other's faces like on stage acting. And it was so weird to just like be there with that person. Yeah, it was we got over it and then, did the scene. But like just that first like 5 minutes, we were just like, how do we do this? Like, what do we do? So it was wild, but yeah, it's going to be a fabulous, fabulous show. I'm really excited for it. Yeah.
Are there like special, I've kind of seen like various masks for singers. Do they have like special masks, or like how hard is it to rehearse wearing a mask?
Yeah, so it's actually very hard. It's because, so a regular mask, when you breathe in, it'll suck the fabric back into your face. So I actually use a singing mask that I helped design with Tang's Alterations in Manassas, Virginia. So, and Manassas Presbyterian Church, we sort of did it in conjunction, all three of us. But I helped design it, and I was the guinea pig and everything. So I actually have these big like singing masks so that when I breathe in, nothing happens. And also it's got some like elastic on the chin. So my chin has more freedom, but it won't slip down my nose. So I sing in those. But even then, you know, when you're in a mask for 6 hours of rehearsal, you know, yeah, we get breaks obviously, but like it's just a lot, and it's not the same, you know? So I sang one of my songs, I sang the song Aldonza today, and oh my gosh, like all of a sudden I was like, oh, like that was like easier than normal. Like I didn't have to take a breath there, and oh, like what happened there? So it's surprising how we've all kind of started getting used to it, because we've, you know, I've done some little church things and things like that, you know, masked and little, like I've done a competition, but it's just so different. It's just so different. So yeah, but the mask, everybody, a couple other people have some other styles and things, but you know, some people are just kind of like holding it so that when they breathe, it doesn't suck in, and they just kind of like hold it like that, you know. It's a process. It's a process, but we're going into Tech Week. We're going to be outside so we can take our masks off.
Kelly, I have to ask, you know, and I think a lot of folks, we're going to look back at resumes and see the whole, which to take a look, I see that on there, and it's now everybody's is going to have that same, so it won't be a matter of, so what were you doing for that year, you know, Miss Glyptis?
No.
But what I found interesting is, first of all, you go and when you get an opportunity, you've got to hear Kelly sing, because it's effortless. And there's no break anywhere. It's just, your voice is just stunning. No wonder you won so many competitions. But you're fight certified. And wait, it gets better. You're also an electrician.
I am, yeah. So I have trained in almost all aspects of theater. So my mother, Ellen mentioned this. My mother was a theater arts director of a children's theater that Ellen and I were both a part of. And you know, every time if we needed a spotlight operator, my mom would go, Kelly, go learn how to run a spotlight. Or if we need a lighting designer, I literally trained how to be a lighting designer, so that when our normal lighting designer couldn't be there, I could go design the lights. And you know, I've been studying stage combat since I was like 3 years old. My mom was certified as well, so I'm certified with the Society of American Fight Directors. I train with them, and actually at Saratoga, we had the great privilege and honor to have Michelle Ladd, who is actually, she's, I believe, the newest fight master, but she's one of 3 female fight masters in the Society of American Fight Director. And we got her, which I was just like beyond excited.
Over the moon.
Yeah, to have a fight master like be with us in that, it was stunning. And she's such a lovely person. So we got to have her. She was fantastic. But yeah, you know, I'm a singer. I grew up in musical theater. I trained in opera, all that. But yeah, when I was in college, for example, I was an electrician for 6 years throughout my entire collegiate career. I ran Spotlight. I did lighting design for all of the opera workshops when I was at Indiana University. My first year there, I got paid in cupcakes. After that, I finally got a little bit of a stipend. But yeah, but I do fight choreography. I've been doing stunt coordination and stuff for opera companies and theater groups for a while. I choreograph, I direct. I've been directing for 16 years as well. I do music direction, I dance. Like, you know, I was sort of that guinea pig for my mom, where if she needed something done, I would go learn it. So, you know, I took miming classes and clowning, and I can juggle, and I can do cartwheels and splits. And I mean, you know, like and it's been really helpful, because, you know, you kind of have to, the way that I look at it, you're not just a singer, you're not just an actor, right? It's the craft, right? So, and when you're backstage and you're getting ready to go on stage, right, as an actor, you know, you need to know that if the, you know, deck crew starts running, get out of their way, right? Like, so, and when you've done tech crew, you can respect and honor like who's more important in what situation, kind of those things. So I think it's really important to be well-rounded and to really understand the craft of theater, not just I'm a singer or I'm an actor or whatever. So My students because I've also been teaching for a long time, I encourage them all do tech crew. I did marketing. My assistantship in my graduate studies, it was in marketing for nonprofit arts organizations. I've done theater arts director work. I've done contracts. I've done like all of that stuff. And during the pandemic, I ended up doing audio engineering and video engineering for like virtual choirs, on top of being in the competition circuit and teaching and all of that. So, I started out on unemployment, and then when my unemployment ran out, I had to become more marketable. And the way I became marketable was audio engineering and video engineering. So,
Wow.
yeah.
We talk about, we see the young, performers who are coming, going to college as triple threats. But reality, and you just proved the point, you've got to be a quadruple threat at the very least nowadays, if not.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and the other thing with the stage, so in our show, we have two very heavy combat scenes. And, a lot of people think, oh, it's opera, like whatever, like it's going to look dumb, right? Well, the thing is that we now recognize, right, that, and even some theaters, right, they're just like, oh, it's going to be that West Side Story, like kick fight, right? But really our audience is now, they are so smart, and our audience is, they have the CGI, they see all this stuff in the movies. So it does have to look real, and so the combat, what we think of in theaters and stuff as like the dinky, like, whatever, it doesn't really exist anymore. They like really, the violence that is portrayed is done so realistically and safely, obviously. But audiences,
goes back to that word choreographed.
Yeah. So it's all choreographed. But we make it real. And it's very athletic. So being on stage, even, there's that trope when the fat lady sings, that stereotype, right? So that's just not true. Yeah. It's just not true anymore. And you have to be athletic. You have to be able to run around the stage. You have to be able to jump up on a table. You have, all of that happens, right? And we see it in opera and in stage, right? And, no matter the size of the human, right? And frankly, you got to have a little meat on your bones to do some of this stuff. I mean, no, all the body positivity and things aside, and which are fabulous, and we need more of that especially in the theater community, right? But really, it's so athletic. You can't do, you can't show up to rehearsal without having had your steak and potatoes to make sure you can get through that combat. When you have a 3.5-hour combat call, you better have eaten dinner. You know what I mean? So it's really, really physical, really athletic, all choreographed, all safe. But it's a workout. It really is. So, yeah, I mean, that's all just for me to say it's going to be fabulous. And it's, audiences are smart, but hopefully we have outsmarted them and they will think it's real. Put up the curtain, get us some magic,
Now your resume is like musical, opera. So what's the big difference for you doing a musical theater show versus a operatic show? Is there much of a difference, or what's kind of the mindset or the technique? What happens?
So for me, I approach both kind of the same. So I believe that we're storytellers, right? No matter what you're doing. In the end, what's important is the story and the story that we tell, and the communication and the connection that we make with the audience, right? So Shakespeare, opera, whatever it is, musicals, if, especially older ones, things, like Marriage of Figaro, right? Why has Marriage of Figaro been around for 300 years? Well, because people resonate with it, right? Like it's a story that we get, right? Why do we still do Romeo and Juliet? Well, because it's a story that resonates with people, right? Like it's a story, tale as old as time, if you will, right? No copyright, I know it's Disney, thank you, Disney. But anyways, just in case I need to do a product placement, I don't know. So I'm kidding. So yeah, but it's that, it's really about the storytelling. It's about continuing those connections and to the audience and to those around us. So now musically, obviously, musicals and operas are going to be a little bit different, right? But there are some musicals that are just as challenging as operas. And then you get some operettas with some, there's actually like Singspiels and operettas where there are lines in the show, right? So it's really a lot. So a lot of people don't know this. When I was on an education tour, I did education tours with Virginia Opera and with Fargo Moorhead Opera. And the question we always got, right, in schools was, what's the difference between musical theater and opera? Like literally, what's the difference, right? And a lot of people say, oh, well, opera, everything's sung. Well, that's actually not true, because there are tons of operas where there's talking, right? And like, can you name a musical where it's sung all the way through? How about like Les Mis? How about like kind of, you know, sort of Hamilton, right? Like, so that's very, you know, so what's the difference? Well, literally, really, like the only difference, right, is that in musicals, usually the, so like Lin-Manuel Miranda, for example, and maybe I shouldn't quote this, but usually in musicals, right, you have somebody who writes all of the melodies, they know what the sound they want, right? And then they send it to an orchestrator, right? So in the musical theater world, all of those melodies and the composer will work with the orchestrator to make sure that the sound is right? But the orchestrator will write the flute part and the guitar part and this, right? Whereas in opera, the composers write every single instrument, right? They have written all of the lines for everything. That's literally like the difference, right? And that just comes from that. Musicals have come out of opera, right? It's not like they're like these weird separate things that were like warring with each other, right? But for me personally, and that's why I love doing both, right? To me, it's really not that big of a difference, right? It's just telling a story. So I'm very big on doing both. I love singing opera. There's nothing quite like the femme fatale aria where you're just, it's very Shakespearean, right? Like it's just, she says, oh, or you know, in Midsummer Night's Dream, right, where he says, now I am dead, oh, thus this day ends, right? And then we all think he's dead, he goes, thus, right? And he like comes back to life. So it's you know, the soprano stabs herself, but then she sings for 5 minutes. So it's very Shakespearean, yeah. Like the Shakespeare, Tybalt, you know, gets stabbed, but then he has a whole monologue or whatever, you know. So not Tybalt, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that's, you know, and Man of La Mancha, for example, it has that Shakespearean quality, it has that classical quality, but with comedy, with the grand musical theater melodies and all that. So it's really a stunning piece. So yeah.
If anybody, we can send them to your website. There's some lovely clips on there that we know we'd like to hear a little bit from and also talk about. And you've got one, I think it's the first one up. It's called, the song is Hope.
Yes. So that song is called Hope. It's by Jason Robert Brown. And it is from a song cycle, for lack of a better word. But it's from a work that he did called How We React and How We Recover. And it was actually in response to when Donald Trump was elected president. So this piece, Hope, from it. So when the pandemic started, I was sent home. I lost my job. You know, I went home to my mother's house. I didn't even have an apartment. You know, I was homeless. So I went to my mother's house in Virginia, and I don't think I didn't sing a note for about 2 months. So I got to about June, and I literally couldn't sing. And I got about midway through June-ish, and and July was about to start, and I was sitting in my room one night, and I, just down some YouTube rabbit hole, and all of a sudden this popped up, and I listened to it, and I wept, and I thought, and it just filled me with so much hope, I guess, it filled me with so much hope that the next day I memorized it that night, and I went into the Center for the Arts, or the Virginia Art Factory. I went up to the 3rd floor. I set up a camera and a green screen, and I just sang it. And I had a friend play the piano and record like a track. And I just sang it. And I was almost in tears the entire time. but that was the first, that song and that recording on my website was the first time I'd sung in something it was almost 3 months. I hadn't sung a single note. I didn't warm up. I didn't practice. I did nothing. It was the first time I'd sung in 3 months because I just couldn't. And from that moment on, that was the turning point for me in the pandemic where I went, I'm gonna try and do some competitions. I'm still gonna try and coach. I'm still gonna try and train. I gotta try. So, and that was when I decided, my aunt, she reached out to me and she sent me to England. She gave me her miles on her flights, because she couldn't use them obviously. And she sent me to England, and I decided, I got to England because I needed to go somewhere. England was the only country open to Americans. And, I got there and I went, I'm going to apply for the global talent visa. And I did, and I got it. So I was the crazy person who moved to England in the middle of a pandemic, and got a visa, and everybody thought I was crazy. And I went, I'm going to do it. And I auditioned for, I did this competition. I had literally just moved, and I
got to stop you for a second. The world is shut down. How did you do this audition? Are you doing it virtually? Did they bring you in, 25 feet apart? How'd that work?
So this competition was all virtual. It's called the New UK Musicals competition. And we went online, we listened to, new works, and I recorded some tracks from it, submitted. I won the Audience Choice Award. And because of that, I get to perform on the West End in a concert in September. So I'm very excited. And then about 6 weeks later, I went to my first audition. It was in February. I went to my first in-person audition. And we were, spaced however, 50 feet apart or whatever. And I was cast in a production called Madeline. I was cast as the role of Madeline, the titular role, in a world premiere in England. And so actually on the 11th of July, I fly back to London to begin rehearsals for the world premiere. So I was granted my visa officially January 25th, I think it was. And by February, I had booked a world premiere and I had booked a concert on the West End. So I was just kind of like, okay. And then in March, I found out about Man of La Mancha. And so I flew right back to America. And, thankfully, my aunt helped me. She's in Oregon, but she helped me do this. And, I had set up a GoFundMe because, of course, I was unemployed. I was getting a little bit of work here and there. But people were so gracious, and, I got help, and people were supporting the arts, and the arts fund, or the actors fund. I applied for a grant through them, and I received a grant from them as well. So it's been, all of those things that you see online, the little commercials that are like, donate to the Actors Fund, like help actors. Do it. It helps us. like we got help, and it was invaluable to even just that little bit. It changed lives. It changed my life. So I can't say enough good things about the humans of the earth, the Actors Fund, my Aunt Sue out in Oregon.
And just walking through the door. It's a door that opened, and so many of us don't. You just have to walk through the door and trust.
And sometimes you got to open that door yourself. And, I've opened a lot of doors by myself, and some of those doors get slammed right back in my face. But, you just keep opening a door until you can walk through, and it's, like I said, it was a very difficult year. And for every success that I've had, I've gotten 50 rejections. It's not, I think that's another thing that people don't realize is that, I got this grant from the Actors Fund, right? I was denied 3 other grants.
Right.
So, which people don't recognize, right? Because we don't post that on Facebook, right? We don't say like, oh, I applied for this grant, like got rejected, like amazing, like #blessed, right? Like nobody.
Curated lives are not real lives.
Exactly. And so, it's for every competition that I'm a semifinalist in, right? Like for every competition I'm a finalist in, everyone I win, right? I've been rejected from like 20. I have lost count how many things I have been rejected from this year. Like and that's a normal thing, right? But you keep going. You just keep going. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, you go, okay, and you move on, right? So I get rejected more on a daily basis than most people do probably their entire lives.
It's like from Follies, Good Times and Bum Times. I've seen them all, and my dear, I'm still here.
Exactly.
Ellen, the clock's ticking down on us.
It is. No, this has been fantastic, Kelly.
Yeah.
But the last segment of the show, we call the close-up. Some rapid fire questions all about you. Exactly. Get close. So, Kelly, are you ready for your close-up?
Oh, okay. Yeah. My lighting is terrible. I apologize. I green screen with me. Sorry. Yes, I'm ready for my close-up. Please.
So, Kelly, what was the exact moment in your life when you just knew I have to do theater?
Oh God. I was, well, I know the exact moment I knew I had to do opera. Does that count?
Yeah, that counts.
Because I grew up in the theater, so I kind of always knew. But the day that I knew I was going to do opera, I was at the Washington National Opera Institute for Young Singers. I was 15 years old, and I was sitting at Catholic University, and I was watching a production of Suor Angelica. And it was just the college, the students. I didn't know, I was 15. And Suor Angelica, she sang Senza Mama. And I literally just stood there, and I sat, and I don't think I breathed. And I went, oh my God. It just like the music, everything. And I just sat there, and I went, this woman has just touched my soul. And the Puccini orchestra. And I saw, and I was sitting only a few rows back, and I just looked into this woman's eyes, and I saw every ounce of pain, of joy, of courage, of rejection. I feel like I saw her whole life in that moment.
Wow. And
it was the most incredible thing. And that was the day that I was like, I will sing this role one day. I will be up on a stage, and I will do that for someone. I will affect. And I was like, I have to find a way to tell these stories. And that was the day that I knew. And then I found out that she was sick. And I was like, and because when I found that out, I was like, what? So I was like, people can sound like that and be sick? Yes. I was like, great. So that was the day that I knew, at least opera. Theater, it's a little bit more difficult. I remember watching Maureen Sullivan do the White Witch in Narnia when I was like 6 years old, and I was just like, yes. I was like, queen, I must be a queen. Like, yeah. So that was.
Is there a role or roles out there or shows out there that are on your bucket list of like, gotta do them?
Oh man, I've done quite a few of mine. I mean, Suor Angelica up on a stage is a dream. I've been in it, but I would love to do Suor Angelica. So I love Aida, the musical. I really want to be on Neris with the Strongest Suit song. I don't know why. It's just it's a pleasure of mine. I adore that. I'd have to think more about that. I've done Into the Woods, Les Mis. I would love to do Fantine and Les Mis one day. I did The Witch and Into the Woods, which is like a dream role. I'm about to do the Countess in Marriage of Figaro coming up in the fall, which is another dream role of mine. That was one of the very first operas I was ever in, was Marriage of Figaro. And I remember watching the Countess and being like, she's so beautiful. Like, I want to be beautiful like that. And so in the fall, in November, on November 7th, I get to be beautiful.
Girl, you're beautiful now.
Oh, thank you.
And sadly, we are running close to time, but this has been fantastic, Kelly. This has been such a joy. But we did talk about you singing Hope, and with your permission, we'd like to play it on the episode now.
Oh, I would love that. Yes.
So here it is.
To sing a song about hope. I'm not inspired much right now, but even so, I came out here to sing a song, so here I go. that if I tinker long enough, one might appear. And look, it's here. One verse is done. The work's begun. I come to sing a song about hope. In spite of everything ridiculous and sad, though I'm beyond belief depressed, confused, and mad. Well, I got dressed. I underestimated how much that would take. I didn't break until right now. I sing of hope and don't know how. So maybe I can substitute strength because I'm strong enough. I got through lots of things I didn't think I could. And so did you. I know that's true. And so we sing a song about hope. Though I can't guarantee there's something real behind it, I have to try to show my daughters I can find it. And so today, when life is crazy and impossible to bear, it must be there. Fear never wins. That's what I hope. See, I said hope. The work begins.
That was
And
absolutely beautiful.
right. And you've really just treat yourself. Go to Kelly's website. We'll post it, when this is up, because you want to hear, and you're so many different people. There's the opera and you do hope. And then the one that I love is I'll Be Here.
Yeah.
Because it's done like a music video, but it's really touching and you just nail it. And I got to tell you, whoever listens into this one, if you know somebody who wants to be in theater, somebody who is beginning to their journey in theater, you must listen to Kelly's interview, because you just gave a master class, Kelly,
Yeah.
in how to be present, to remain upbeat, and to be so well-rounded that when the rejection comes at 8 a.m. in the morning, you can still do something at noon. And you can't be a one-trick pony. And boy, do you lay that out clearly, and how that in just improves, one's performance when they're out there, when you understand all that's going on. So just hats off to you, lady. And I know you will, by the time this airs, you will have already wowed the audiences up here in Saratoga.
Thank you so much. And, I just wanted to say, just, as a last thing, to anyone who does watch this, if you're just starting out, or even if you've been doing it for a while, I think one of the most important things that we talked about here was social media, right? Just remember that what you're seeing is the press. You know what I mean? It's what now it's not to say that it's necessarily fake, but just do remember, especially if you're starting out, very rarely do you just make it. Yes, it happens, but we do this for the love of the storytelling, of the theater, of the connections, of whatever, what have you. And there is going to be time when you get rejected. There are going to be times when it's going to be hard, and there are going to be times where you don't know what the heck is going to happen next week or next month or whatever it is. And you just have to keep the faith with the stories and with what you know is right, you know, and you just have to keep going. Yeah, don't stop. And sometimes that's hard. So I don't ever want it to feel like that it's just easy peasy, like keep a smile on your face and it happens, right? It does take, it's hard work. It's really hard work, but it's worth it. If you can really open those doors and just try, it's worth it. It's worth
Beautifully
it.
Kelly. Put. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kelly. For everyone, thanks for listening to this episode of Everything Theater. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn, and we'll see you next time.